After all this time, years of waiting, hoping for a good deal on PC parts, a new generation of GPUs are hitting the market, and they're trash. So with Nvidia crapping the bed yet again, what with lower VRAM units for their GPUs, and AMD not even bothering with the higher end of graphics cards, and even Intel struggling to stay relevant and introducing their next generation entry-level graphics cards. It seems that building your own PC is becoming a test of patience. And for most people, like myself, who have been waiting patiently for scalpers to F off, and for manufacturers to produce enough product to satisfy the demand, all we're left with is the realization that the PC builders market is basically done. Unless you buy used or get an older generation entry-level card, you can forget about anything high-end unless you want to fork over $1,000 to $2,000+ at retail. And at this point, is it even worth it? If all you're going to be doing is gaming, maybe you could just get away with buying a console. But if you want to do more than that, you're forced to buy a PC and use Windows 11. Ugh. I suppose you could install any operating system you want, but what else is there? Linux? Is Linux as user-friendly as Windows is? Or was? How many games are really playable on Linux? And when does Steam OS come out? That's supposed to be good for games. If you're going to build a PC for the best of the best,
the best of the best of the best, sir,
then you'll have to pay a lot of money for it. And if you want a PC that is basically console level, you may still end up paying a lot for it. The market is just messed up now. Every new game coming out just ups the requirements for graphics cards, and yet the games look no better than how they did a few years ago. And if you can run it on consoles well enough, why are you suddenly capped on a graphics card from 5 years ago that's still better than any console on the market? Why do you need frame generation just to maintain 60 frames per second? It doesn't make sense. Developers need to stop trying to brute force their games. And if the excuse is that publishers are forcing deadlines, then that's another problem that needs to be dealt with. Games should not be like this on PC. Even console settings are apparently too much for some graphics cards. The recent Indiana Jones game has trouble maintaining 60 frames per second, even on medium to low settings on any GPU with less than 12 gigabytes of VRAM. That should be unacceptable. But here we are. But maybe there is a saving grace to all of this. The stagnation in the graphics market has made it so that you really don't need the high-end graphics cards. Because basically Nvidia is just doing a rebrand of their 40 series cards and calling it the 50 series. 5080? No, that's a 4080 Super Ti. Slightly better performance, same abysmal price, and with less cards being produced, so scalpers can swindle buyers at even higher prices. No wonder AMD didn't bother with the high end. There's no need. If Nvidia is going to just rebrand their old cards, then AMD can just play catch up with last gen's higher end. They changed their whole numbering system to match Nvidia's for some reason, so basically a 97 XT is about as powerful as a RTX 4080. And Intel is basically doing the same. Their new B series GPUs are equivalent to the old 4060, just with a little bit more VRAM. If you missed out on last gen, this might be a good way of getting in on it, I guess, but AMD still hasn't listed their prices yet. And for Intel, the prices seem about average. Although you're going to be on the low end, basically console settings. Which is fine, but I already have a console. And if AMD's GPU is last gen's high end to today's mid-range, then how will that affect your gaming experience in about a year or two when the PS6 is released? More brute forcing PC games that are made for consoles in mind? If Monster Hunter Wilds turns out to be a laggy mess, then you know things are messed up with developers on PC. I could be totally wrong about all of this, but if I'm paying all of this money for a gaming PC, I expect it to play games, at least better than the console version. I mean, that's how it used to be. And then ray tracing ruined it all. And then the stupid Bitcoin miners. And then now the AI crap. Graphics cards should be about video and gaming, not anything else. I'd rather they put ray tracing back in the oven for a few more years. Maybe iron out some of the power draw that it still has until the technology can catch up. The old ways of lighting a scene wasn't bad, and screen space reflections still look pretty good. And maybe with all of that rasterization power, you could just double the image for actual reflections, and you won't need to use screen space. But that will require extra work. And we all know developers and publishers need to rush these games out the door, bugs and all, and they'll just patch it later. It's terrible. So let's say you need to get the best graphics card. Would you even bother trying to get one at retail? Or would you deal with the scalpers? For the prices scalpers are charging, which is insane by the way, you might as well just buy a pre-built. The problem with that is, you have to hope that they built it to last. And with some companies, it's a crapshoot. If anyone knows any good PC pre-built companies, let me know in the comments. I think I'd rather just buy pre-built, instead of dealing with the hassle of building one this time. It's more than just the price of the parts, but they just keep changing things. I can't deal with DDR5 and XMP. Flashing the BIOS, 12-volt power cables that you better not bend too much, or else you'll melt your card. But then how else are you going to close the door? Why can't the power cable be put somewhere on the side instead of sticking right out of the case? The last PC I built was in 2015. An amazing PC. The GTX 980 Ti is an excellent graphics card, and DDR4 memory just worked. I never had any problems building a PC until XMP was introduced. And with how much everything costs now, maybe it's not even worth building it yourself anymore. It's easy to build it, but then the troubleshooting happens, and there goes your weekend. Maybe pre-builts are the way to go these days. Would you rather buy a $5,000 scalped price 5080? Or a pre-built that has it all for $3,000 instead? But I mean, it's still double the price of what it was 10 years ago. But it seems like the only real option is to hold on to the PC that you have and maybe just buy a PS6 in 2 years. If you're looking to upgrade to a new PC, what are you planning on buying? Or are you waiting it out? Again, like I am. Let me know in the comments. Till next time.